Hello all, and welcome to my no level up, no upgrade bandit run. This dangerous lady is She-Wolf Cutthroat, my level 5 bandit with a bow. The rules of her life are simple: no leveling up, no upgrading weapons, no upgrading Spirt Ashes. She can use Spirt Ashes, because I'd also like to really take the chance to experiment with all these ashes I've never really used before, especially the lower level ones, since I'm not going to have a lot of FP, as well as summon real players, since as I understand it, the summoning pool, how it works is that it's your highest upgraded weapon, as well within 10 levels of your level, meaning, especially after I get out of Limgrave, that I'm only going to run into other psychos doing the same type of run, and as someone who loves both invading and helping in the summoning pool, I can't wait to meet these kinds of crazy builds, and other people that are using them. Now, much like beating this poor rune bear, that means I'll be using whatever I can to survive. Whether that be terrain, bleed, poison, rot, doesn't matter. Whatever I need to do to win is what I'm going to do. Now, I spent the early game in Limgrave originally intending to do a bow arcane build, which is why I picked Bandit in the first place. But by the time I got around to being able to level up, I decided I'd had so much fun sneaking around, living off my bow and craftables, that I just wouldn't level up and see how far I would get. Now, you really need a goal, though, with these types of characters as well. You can't just... That's why main accounts get boring. When you can do anything and you have infinite choice, you just tend to do nothing because you don't really have a direction. Which is something I really noticed on my last character, a mage that was modeled off a Ruby character, who I set the goal of getting a blue noble's hood in the Altus Plateau before beating any major bosses, meaning any rune bearers, because it fit her outfit. In that spirit, I've never gotten the Bloody Wolf armor set, and given the name of our character and the allure of loot that I've never gotten, this seems like the perfect goal for now. As for the bosses in Limgrave, I'll try to summarize them quickly, as they are by far the most seen enemies in the game. As such, even people who've pretty much given up on the game as soon as they start it should be pretty familiar with these guys, and also shame on you. Now, in my eagerness to embrace my new challenge, I actually went for Agahil, the Tree Sentinel, and Margit first. Again, perhaps it's my familiarity with them, but all three of them went down pretty much without any trouble. Agahil's a dragon. If you fought one dragon, you can fight the rest. Just bait them to the left, you know, watch that tail, maybe get on your horse if you're having a really hard time. After him, I managed to get Reduvia, and I've never really used this weapon, but I've heard it's good. And before you say anything, Bleed's going to play a really, really heavy part, at least in the early game here, I can tell you, and being able to get through, well, I was going to say these low levels, but we're never going to level up. But interestingly enough, you'll see in the future I start to feel really powerful. Not just because of Bleed, just in general. But for now, yeah, Reduvia was actually part of what convinced me. I was still kind of on the edge at this point, just putting off leveling up. But I was like, you know, I got the dagger. I'm having a lot of fun. Let's do this. But eventually, I'm not going to keep it forever. Eventually, I will keep the bow for as long as I can, because I really want to do a bow build, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. But eventually, Reduvia will take a backseat because I want to try other weapons out as well. After that, the Tree Sentinel was more of a challenge, but in the end, my bow and a little patience saw him defeated. It was mostly an issue of positioning, terrain, patience, setting up the runes, and thin beast bones to actually make the arrows. But I even went on to help other low levels with him after that, especially after I got special types of arrows, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Margit, of course, took the most tries, and I even summoned a real person to help in the fight where I beat him, but given that he died almost immediately, all I really did was make the fight harder for myself. Still, I was prepared and was able to use his shackle to immediately hack away at half of his health, wearing him down with arrows and Rogier's magic, then close in for the kill with my knives. I was elated. I was so elated, I decided to go clean up some bosses in Limgrave, starting with this big boy here, the STONEDIGGER troll. He then proceeded to flatten me to a pancake 9 times in a row and made me question both my sanity and my lack of skill, both in the game and in real life. Eventually, I got him, but looking back, this was actually where the real Elden Ring began for me. I already knew those other bosses. That was the long and short of it. I didn't have much. It was just re-familiarizing myself with them long enough to put up with now I'm not doing as much damage. But Stone Digger Troll, okay? Very easy boss. Some of you might not even recognize the name if you're just listening and not watching the video. But that's only if you level up at all. By the time I usually fight him, I've gotten like at least 10 levels. You start the game, you level up a little bit, you grind, get some smithing stones, maybe some new weapons, try some things out, start exploring. In theory, you could explore most of Limgrave, or even most of the game, just miss this cave, come back and wipe them out immediately. But, yeah, that's not what happened this time. I've went to him with no upgrades, no level ups. Fresh, still fresh. Off of Margit, in fact. And I've never really had time to see his moves before, nor have they ever really been that dangerous for me. Now I had time to notice that he has an AoE attack that finally covers about 90% of the room and one-shots me because I don't have any health. Tragic truth is that I have to get good all over again, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the next boss, Bloodhound Knight DARRIWIL. He is, he's a little difficult. He actually inspired the first rage quit of the run, fact which the game punished me for upon reload. But reload the next day I did, and he killed me some more. But eventually, I learned his moveset and was able to eke out a win that I was very graceful about. Now it was time for some grind. No, not for levels, but for items and Ashes of War. First off on the list was Radagon's Sword Seal. I'll tell you about it in a minute. It's far off in Fort Far Off, funnily enough, but since I knew the way, I could technically just ride Torrent over there with no trouble at all. But that's no fun. So I decided that Anastasia would be my literal gatekeeper for all of Caelid, just because I hate myself, apparently. I mean, it's not like she's that tough. I mean, I remember she used to hit kind of hard sometimes a little bit, but I don't think she's really gonna be, Anastasia is a fracking ninja, okay? I mean, look at this.
Nope. Nope.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
The dodging wonder twins of DARRIWIL and Anastasia got me over here seriously wondering why I even carry a bow at this point. We're not even that far into the game. But we eventually defeat her, and interestingly enough, in my frustration, I figured out that Reduvia's special attack actually works immensely better at close range, almost like it's a dagger, go figure, when all the blood actually hits the target. Subtle reminder from the game to grow a pair and get in there sometimes. And by sometimes, all the time. It's usually all the time. My reward for defeating Anastasia is the ability to make poison throwing knives. Poison unlocked. In the addition to that, I have now also unlocked a new arrow merchant. He doesn't have a name, but he does have serpent arrows, a stronger version of the poison arrow that I can't craft, only pay for because of capitalism, I guess, which is slightly suspicious. The poison, not the capitalism, because the serpent arrows I figured came from the Volcano Manor, so he really did come a long way. See, Caelid is a nice place. Where nothing bad ever happens. Beast Torch, protect me! Huh. Maybe I gotta shake it to turn it on. Hey, you! Is it doing anything for you, big boy? Huh? Okay. Oh, I see. The Beast Torch only works on ones that don't have glowing red demon eyes. I see. I shall name him Jorge, and he shall be my pet. Jorge, play dead. No. After that, I made my way to Fort Faroth and made a mad dash to the fort for my prize, grabbing the Dectus medallion almost as an afterthought. In the end, I was killed by the most ambitious rat ever, but it didn't matter because I had my prize. Radagon's Source Seal raises vigor, endurance, strength, and dexterity by 5 points each, effectively giving you 20 free levels. This is balanced by you taking an additional 15% damage. This actually isn't that bad right now and might not even affect us at all. Even with the talisman at the time of writing, I fought an additional 2 bosses in Limgrave that I'll get to in a moment. I had the Source Seal on for both of them, and both of them at some point hit me, and it wasn't even that bad. I haven't leveled up still, obviously, but the extra health and defense from the free 20 levels makes up for it while I'm still in Limgrave. We'll see if I notice a difference in the Weeping Peninsula or the Liurnia, because that's where I think it would have the most effect. But after that, I don't really think it'll matter. From possibly as early as the Altus Plateau, bosses at least should be able to one-shot me. If not that early, then eventually. No armor and no fake levels would help. I'd just have to dodge. Rip to my future self at Godfrey. Oh, that's gonna hurt. But that will mean that there will be no real penalty for using the item, since I can't get extra dead. This isn't Dark Souls 2, where I lose another tiny chunk of my health bar and soul with each death. My shiny new talisman equipped, I decided it was time for a boss fight, because of course it was. What else would I do? So I went back to the guy who I've usually always fought first, the Beastman of Farum Azula. I wanted to feel like a real archer again, so I put in work with the bow this fight. This fight really reinforced what I've been noticing. When possible, shoot him in the head. Always great advice. An arrow to the face staggers like crazy. Other than a couple moves I didn't really expect, he wasn't too hard and fell in one try. While I'm at it, I didn't record my fight with the 2 demi-human chiefs because I did it before deciding to not level up. Running straight to the coastal cave to see if clearing it before meeting Bach saved him from getting beat up, because I'm a nice guy like that. Sadly, it doesn't for some reason. Actually, I've noticed a lot of things do out of sequence don't matter, but I like to test things. So just for you guys, I put my nice guy sign down and helped good guy Merlin here clear the room. I only mention it because it was actually the fight that put the seed of this series in my head. Which is rushing straight over there out the gate, fighting them without leveling up, without working on my level. I don't even know if I went to the Church of Ella, to be perfectly honest. It'd be a shame not to mention that, because it was so much fun. It kind of kicked all this off. So if you've made it this far in the series, thank you. But blame the demi-humans, because this is all their fault. It's all their fault. But to make up for it, they revealed the secret of Limgrave Beach to me, giving me this cool bow Ash of War that I'll probably use once and never again. Maybe. I might not even use it once. It's useless. Just like the demi-humans, except for Bach. He's cool. And his mom, I guess. Even though I think she's dead, or just a shrunken head at this point. I don't know. I've also managed to acquire a fire arrow recipe from another nameless anarchist selling weapons on the beach, so that's cool. After that is, of course, time for another boss fight. I'm going to go ahead and tally up my victories and start a counter now. Actually, come to think of it, I've done some editing before this. I already started the counter, but I'm acknowledging it now. We're not counting patches since I spared him to get Margit's Shackle, but I did beat him too, I guess. Number 8 is Erdtree Burial Watchdog. He was basically just a test of the Source Seal and was easily defeated with a bit of the run around and shooting to make me feel like a real archer. After that, I decided it was time to buff my butter knife, so I went to Fort Hague to fight Moog's fanboy over here. Just let me say, I think it is adorable that he planted some blood rose bushes all around like the fangirl he is. This guy is he's just a piece of work. Although, honestly, my underestimating him also got me killed and beaten up a little bit by him. We just sort of ended up throwing blood attacks at one another, which was kind of gross. But either way, I got bleed buildup on my offhand, as well as the ability to put it on any compatible weapon in the future, which I will. Did I mention, by the way, that I hate imps yet? I hate imps. Number 9 is the Grave Warden Duelist. I decided now was a good time to call the boys, and since it looked like he could bench press the house, I thought it best to engage him from afar. Fortunately, this was correct, and he also went down on the first try. Netted me this sweet Spirt Ashe I might be able to use someday if I get my mind up just a little bit somehow. After that, I decided I needed a break and hopped in the summoning pool while gathering materials, and that somehow turned into me helping beat Margit 4 times and getting a snazzy new shirt off the guy out front who died somehow mysteriously. I now appear less dirty. With that said, we need one more thing before we head to Stormwind to acquire the strongest arrow in the game, Radagon's Scar Seal. This counterpart is found in the Weeping Ever Jail of the Weeping Peninsula, and Weeping is right because here we fight big number 10 on our list. Now's a good time to talk about arrows. Basically, every single type of arrow is technically useless, but only technically. The Stormhawk arrow does more base damage than any elemental effects you're going to have on any given boss. There, I summarized the wiki page for you in one sentence. You're welcome. It's generally considered to be a design oversight, and the smart thing to do would be to just not use a bow. But besides that, to use Stormhawk arrows the whole game because you're just going to do more base physical damage. But that's not really true. Elemental arrows absolutely have uses, okay? In nearly every other area they shine. And that's meaning PvP against common enemies, elemental like terrain attacks that they can do, certain stagger effects they have on different enemies, whether they complement your current weapon you're using, such as bleed bolts or bleed arrows, with bleed throwing knives and bleed weapons and bleed. But even then, it doesn't really matter because even if you get caught by an invader, okay, they don't expect all these different status effects and usually don't have all the things equipped to take them out. So only technically are they weaker in terms of raw damage. And you also got to remember, you got to grind to get those Stormhawk arrows, which isn't that hard with a bow, actually, but still, you got to go all, guys, you just got to keep going back to Stormwind, going back to Stormwind, as opposed to just popping by a merchant and buying some more arrows. Let's see here. Remember, always remember though, that your big sword-swinging host will be elated that you poisoned, electrocuted, and set the enemy on fire right before they're pounded into hamburger meat and waste all your fancy arrows that cost you about 20 grand. However, it's worth noting in the future that I went to relax in the summoning pool and got to actually use all my fancy arrows beating the tree sentinel again. No cheese, strength, skill. It's a funny weapon. It's funny how strong I feel, despite never having leveled up or upgrading the weapon, or any of my weapons, really. Granted, I have the Sword Seal, but still feels good. Next boss, number 10, is Zamor guy. Okay, he's weak to both fire and poison, and guess what types of arrows I've been stocking up on. It's a shame that I've been talking this up and prepared so much, because it turned out the best way to beat this guy was relentlessly get in his face and blood slash him. But there's a bit of saving grace at the end. This boss has 2 phases. His second phase starts at half health, where he covers his big sword in frost and becomes much more aggressive. First few times I tried range for the first half, and again, this guy was hopping around, dodging arrows like he's playing freaking jump rope. And makes for an interesting juxtaposition, really. The enemy's too easy to hit with arrows, and the fight just feels too easy. They jump around dodging like the quickest of no-scopes, and it's just frustrating. Tree Sentinel actually feels like a good boss fight for a bow build, with his inability to quick dodge replaced with his big shield that can just deflect, possibly reflect the arrows if they're magic, or it can at least reflect magic, I think, I don't know. And his fast horse, that's very key, that can move in odd angles as well. It feels much more balanced, as opposed to someone who can just dodge. Either way, I figured out he was way too aggressive, and uses at least 2 sneaky, oh, I'm not going to hit you, wait a minute, yes I am, I just lunged all the way across the whole arena moves. So playing the long game would be very difficult and frustrating, and I didn't buy or craft that many fancy arrows, so I switched to the old trusty Reduvia. Unfortunately for me, it failed, or I failed it, because while it was doing damage, he was still ninja hopping out of the way of at least 25% of my special attacks, which weren't doing much damage anyways. I was really just trying to fill that bleed meter. It was getting about 75% of the job done, but I had nothing left in the tank at the end of that, and that's when he's the most aggressive. So I tried switching my offhand and main hand so that I could try Bloody Slash on the dagger. I actually didn't expect this to work. In fact, I didn't expect, I really only put it on the dagger to add to the bleed buildup. The Bloody Slash does a lot of damage, but it takes part of your health. As well as magic, and I have 15 vigor at this point with the Sword Seal. However, a combination of having learned his moves at this point, being aggressive, using the slash, and using all my healing, managed to get him down to 1 hit. And it's here that the dollar store consumable saves the day. He never saw the throwing knives coming. Well, he saw like the second one coming, but the first and third one, didn't see coming, okay? First one he didn't see coming. Second one he was like, the audacity of this bitch. Then the third one he was like, surely she won't do it again. And I did. It's a simple ranged weapon, and it won the day. Okay? And with enormous relief and elation, I fall to my knees and cradle my new pride. So it's like my 4th playthrough, and I just remembered something. You can't equip both of Radagon's seals. For some reason, I noticed they both have Elden runes carved on them. Yeah, I read the description. It's probably a lore thing. This doesn't really make sense to me. If I can have a great rune equipped, plus this talisman, don't I technically have 2 runes equipped? So can't I just equip as many runes as I want? But you'd think my soul would be crushed. But honestly, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't cry for that long. But I'm actually okay with my power level right now. You know, this just gives me a new side quest, actually. I just need to find Marika's talismans. I know one is an LFL at the end of the game, so yeah, that one's going to take me a while. The good one, I'm pretty sure, is all the way over there, and I'm probably going to get killed if I ever even make it that far. Which we will. Stay strong. Strength. The other is in Sephora River, so I'll save that for later. I got a lot of things to do right now. We don't got time to go underground. Once I start feeling like I need that power, it'll be time to make pilgrimage underground. For now, it's back to the grind. I head back. Hey guys, it's your boy, Future Scythus. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut my past self off right here, because he tends to ramble for a really long time after this, and the video's already around 30 minutes long, but spoilers, there's much more to come. I've already had enormous fun with this challenge, even to the point where I was playing and editing this video 14 hours strength, like a day or two ago, my time. So if you've made it this far to the end, thank you. You're one of my favorite people in the world. I would highly recommend this challenge to anyone who wants to do it. It's not even as hard as it sounds. Don't be intimidated. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to like and subscribe for more episodes. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.